Mr. Wicker, thank you for being here today. If you could introduce your panel of who's with you, and you can begin your testimony at any time.
Okay, thank you. I have to my right Matt Steck, our government affairs consultant, John Pendleton, who's manning the laptop over here, our CTO. We've got Mike Harnish, who's a tow operator in our network, and we have Ken Fisher, also a tow operator in our network. And both these were tow operators for the Pennsylvania State Police prior to the pilot. So I have a statement. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the committee. Thank you for allotting me the time to come and speak with you today. I am John Wicker, CEO and founder of AutoReturn. Though I live in California now, my roots run deep in Pennsylvania. In the 1730s, my forefathers immigrated from Switzerland and settled in Lancaster. My Pennsylvania relatives fought in the Civil War. My grandmother grew up in that house right there, and for those of you on the panel, there's a PowerPoint slide deck that shows this. My grandmother, Dorothy Jackman Momo, grew up there. Momo and my grandfather, Pap, Howard Jackman, both went to Peabody High School. Next slide. He went on to play for Pitt and won the Rose Bowl in 1937. Next. He then joined the Navy and spent World War II on a destroyer in the South Pacific stationed out of Pearl Harbor. Next slide. My mother was born at, Elaine Jackman was born at St. Francis Hospital. My brother David was born at McGee Women's Hospital. My Aunt Donna and Uncle Jeff Jackman still live in Beaver Falls, having spent their careers as school teachers in the Black Hawk District, where Uncle Jeff was also the swim coach. I might have been born in Pennsylvania myself, if it not for the fact that my dad was stationed at Norton Air Force Base when my mom was pregnant with me. We did return to Pennsylvania briefly, but my dad became a federal systems development contractor after leaving the Air Force, and ultimately we settled in the Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C. I went to Virginia Tech, received a computer science degree, and eventually moved to San Francisco at the age of 30 because it's the innovation hub of the world and a top destination for technologists. I live there now with my lovely wife, Natalie, and our young boys, Blake and Jack. By the end of my short time with you today, I'd like you to have a clear understanding of what AutoReturn is and what our company is not, to understand our mission, our intentions, and what we stand for. I'd also like for you to firmly grasp what we're doing here in Pennsylvania. Our primary goals are to help the state police and contribute to public safety while saving taxpayer dollars. I hope to dispel any misinformation, to establish the facts, and tell you a bit about how well the pilot program has worked in Erie and elsewhere. I want to begin by giving you a sense of why we started AutoReturn and the problems we solve for people. Before AutoReturn, I built a career focused on making business more efficient through the application of technology. So after the dot-com crash of 2000, my colleagues and I began looking for an industry where we could make a positive difference using what we had learned. When we found that there was a set of problems in law enforcement towing that is common to all agencies, and that by applying appropriate technology to these problems could make a difference for public safety, efficiency, and fairness for tow operators, AutoReturn was born. The problems in law enforcement towing are not with the highly capable local tow operators. I have the greatest respect for them and what they do. Their commitment to public safety and their desire to run a profitable business, as we all should. The problems exist largely because of the manual processes used in the administration and logistics of law enforcement towing. Many of the problems stem from the inefficient voice communications used to execute the majority of routine tow requests. This inefficient process increases the burden on police dispatchers, making them order takers rather than exception handlers with the bandwidth to focus their time and energy on the unusual tows that need special attention. Because the communications are primarily verbal, details of the transactions are rarely kept after the tow is complete, and understanding what happened after the fact becomes nearly impossible. This non-transparent and laborious process can lead to unfair distribution of towing opportunities, increased officer wait times, and decreased public safety. We created AutoReturn to streamline the process to increase efficiency, increase public safety, increase the fair distribution of business opportunity, decrease administration surrounding this important agency service while decreasing cost to the taxpayer. That's what AutoReturn is. We are a technology company laser focused on only one thing: law enforcement towing logistics. That's all we do, logistics. Our primary goals are to minimize tow response times, allowing troopers to return to patrol duties faster, and decrease the administrative burden surrounding the towing program. To be clear, AutoReturn is not a towing company. We do not own a single tow truck. We are not in the business of dismantling unclaimed vehicles. We are not a tow operator, and we don't compete with tow operators. AutoReturn is also not an auto club. We don't decide to partner with towing companies based on low bid contracts at the expense of service levels. AutoReturn stands for safety, efficiency, respect, and fairness. We are the only firm that works with existing tow companies in communities to customize our model to maximize the effectiveness of these important local independent businesses, the tow and impound company operators for law enforcement towing. Our proven processes and tools help our towing partners meet police-mandated service levels, and our transparent practices result in higher service levels to the vehicle owner. We've created a comprehensive, open, and transparent system that lets tow companies compete evenly and fairly. Let me give you a sense of how our system works. The AutoReturn system receives tow requests from the police electronically, and in some cases verbally. The police dispatcher's job is done at this point. The system then instantaneously allocates the tow request to a police-authorized tow operator according to the rules set by the police. Then the system automatically tracks the job, and assuming the tow progresses normally, no other human is involved in the communication. If the job shows any signs of difficulty, then, and only then, an AutoReturn dispatcher calls the tower to provide assistance long before a service issue has occurred. The problems are addressed and the tow gets back on track. The key benefit of the system is that by handling the vast majority of tows automatically, dispatchers have time to address periods of peak demand like during emergencies. Here's an example. Imagine your area of Pennsylvania covered in over 2 feet of snow. Roads need to be cleared. Well, shortly after we went live in Baltimore County, we faced this exact situation. A blizzard, the likes of which are not uncommon in Pennsylvania. On Saturday, June 30th, 2010, with over 2 feet of snow on the ground, Corporal Friedman, who's in charge of their towing program, in an area close to the size of Troop E, was tasked with removing over 100 vehicles from roads across the county. He finally tells the story of how AutoReturn systems allowed for the seamless dispatch and tracking of all of these tows, and how the surrounding counties were incurring massive overtime dispatching the tows and subsequently handling customers' requests for lost vehicles. So that's how it looks in a region where members of the towing community are partners in making the system successful. Easy, efficient, and safe. From the police point of view, the dispatcher simply enters the tow request into the system, and that's it. AutoReturn handles everything from that point. Let me give you a sense of how the system works from the point of view of the tow operator. Towers receive dispatch requests any way they would like. Some take automated phone calls from good old-fashioned landlines or cell phones. Others choose to take advantage of increased capabilities available on today's smartphones. But this is not a requirement to be part of the program. The tow request includes the location and other information about the situation that the tower will need to complete the job safely and quickly. They accept the request and go do the job. When they return back to their office with a towed vehicle, we do ask them to enter basic information about the vehicle so it can be found later. License plate, make, model, and ultimately information about how about the fees and when it left their facility. There is no special software to install or administer. They just use any internet browser to go to their AutoReturn page online. When the customer shows up to get his car, the tower bills him for the tow, adding a $35 administrative fee to the total bill. After and only after the customer pays the bill, AutoReturn gets $22.50 for its service fee. The tow company keeps the remaining $12.50 from the administrative fee to cover vehicles that go unclaimed and other costs. The customer receiving the tow pays for the administrative cost of the tow, not the government or the taxpayer. As part of the program, AutoReturn relieves the state police of all of the administration around a tow, and any follow-up inquiries after a tow. This is no small burden, freeing the state police to focus on other activities. So that's the way the AutoReturn system works. I'd like to now turn to how AutoReturn got invited. Actually, I'll skip that. It's in the testimony, and you've heard that. So I'm pleased to announce, actually as of yesterday, we are now operating 9 of the 11 stations that are part of the pilot program. Since the beginning of the pilot through Monday, we have facilitated 1,003 tows. Our network grows every week. We are partnering with 43, the pause was, we added some recently, with 43 local Pennsylvania towing companies, with 3 additional companies who have agreed to join and are providing the required documentation. 22 of them towed for the Pennsylvania State Police prior to the pilot, and 21 companies are new to the program. In our proposal accepted by the Pennsylvania State Police, we agreed to integrate our systems with the mobile office, the laptop platform in the squad car, in the troopers' vehicles, allowing the state police to further leverage its existing investment in mobile office and to further reduce burden on communications officers and to create a direct communication link between tow operators and troopers in the field. For years, taxpayers in Pennsylvania have paid to fund the state police's towing operations. Now with AutoReturn, as part of this pilot program, the only people who are paying for towing are those who receive the service. As I mentioned before, the amount of the fee to the customer is $35, which gets split between AutoReturn and the towing company. The tax dollars that were being spent on police towing operations can now be freed up for other purposes. Our pilot program has been a success story, starting with Erie. Next slide. Next slide. Starting with Erie, towing companies readily joined our program as they were reluctant to miss out on towing opportunities. Here's a chart of the response times in the pilot area. The green dots, or the green pins, represent tow requests that were on scene within 35 minutes of the request. The yellow represents on scene within 60 minutes, and the instances of red are on scene greater than 60 minutes. Where the network is robust, there is proven success improving response times. In other areas, the results have been not quite as good due to lack of participation. Network coverage is a key factor for the system to work as designed. Gaining network coverage is an incremental process, not yet complete across the pilot area, and we are addressing the challenge day by day. The benefit to citizens so far is that law enforcement agencies are able to do what they do best, keep people safe by getting the PSP out of towing logistics. We realize that implementing the AutoReturn system is a change to the status quo. Everyone acknowledges that change can be difficult. Both the state police and AutoReturn are facing some unfortunate hostility to this important public safety program. Since December, there has been a small but motivated group of towing companies that fear change or want to maintain the status quo that have prosecuted a misinformation campaign and continue to do so even when presented with the facts. Led by these influential operators, a number of other towing companies in Pennsylvania have refused to participate in the pilot program. Through spreading misinformation and untrue allegations, that small handful of operators has made some tow companies refuse to join our program. Many have chosen not only to not join, but refuse to take a phone call from us in lieu of a communications officer to perform a paid tow service in their area to assist the public with no contract and no fee going to AutoReturn, causing increased response times and public safety problems. An example of the misinformation being spread and untrue are stories that I personally own land in Pennsylvania in anticipation of opening AutoReturn impound facilities. People have been told that I own tow companies and tow trucks. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am not in the towing business. AutoReturn is not a towing company. We do not own a single tow truck. We are a technology company laser focused on one thing: law enforcement towing logistics. That's all we do. Logistics. Another example of the misinformation that people are being told that we'll come in for one rate, but after a while we're going to lower the maximum fee or we'll require everyone to buy a smartphone. It's not in our interest to do this. We are not an auto club. We do not gain financially by putting downward pressure on rates because we are simply providing logistics support to this important service. Our opponents are also saying that 911 centers can do what AutoReturn does more effectively. That is simply not true. Just shifting the manual, laborious communication process for allocating tows from police communications officers to 911 operators will not provide any of the efficiencies of the AutoReturn approach I just described. It just makes a different group of people as overburdened by an inefficient process as the current group. Somebody would still be responsible for maintaining a tow company roster, verification of minimum requirements, site inspections, follow-up on requests for information after the tow. The public conversation has gone on without us in a one-sided way so far. This ends today. Historically, we have not engaged the towing community at large. We have not had to in the past. Today, we finally have a public forum so that the actual facts can be shared. To begin with, we have worked successfully with the tow companies who have chosen to participate in the pilot program to change the dispatch model, simplify the contract, as well as respond to many other requests from the state police and the towers to make many other adjustments during the pilot. We are doing in Pennsylvania what we have done with all of our other satisfied customers in Indianapolis, Kansas City, Baltimore County, Concord, California, San Diego, and San Francisco to optimize the program for safety, efficiency, and public service. Across the country, we have 100% agency referenceability. In 100% of our jurisdictions, response times are reduced, agencies get increased control while reducing administrative burden. It's not just us saying this. Our contracts have been renewed at every occasion, 9 times and counting. The fact is that modern logistics drives the worldwide distribution of goods and services most everywhere on the planet. Without this technology, we would get no mail, UPS or FedEx packages delivered, there would be no online commerce, or fresh food delivery at all times of the year. Modern logistics is here to stay. No one can argue that being able to instantaneously contact and engage a statewide fleet of tow operators in service to the needs of the public is a bad thing. AutoReturn is bringing this to law enforcement towing. We at AutoReturn are honored and grateful to have the opportunity to speak here today, to speak with those who haven't talked with us before. We intend that everyone listening in the room today leave the meeting with a clear understanding of the truth and renewed in the values of respect, fairness, efficiency, and public service, which we believe everyone here shares. I'm personally very grateful to have had the time before you that you've given me the courtesy of your attention. Thank you to the Pennsylvania State Police who have allowed AutoReturn to help transform the way police towing works in the Commonwealth and for how they keep the public safe. Thank you to the hardworking tow operators who put themselves on the line every day, clearing accidents from highways and side streets. We are grateful to be working with you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks. My team and I will be glad to answer any questions you or the committee have for us at this time.